We're going to close out the B-side 204 episode from MediaMonarchy.com with the latest coverage over on FoodWorldOrder.com, and the first one shouldn't be much of a surprise, but we take it from Grist.org. Bad food makes kids dumber. A new study says 3-year-olds who mostly eat processed foods have lower IQs 5 years later. So Pop-Tarts and Sunny D are why we're falling behind China in math and science. The study, cited in The Guardian, examines the diets of 14,000 wee little Britlets based on what their parents reported feeding them. 3 is the magic number. Your brain grows the fastest from birth to age 3, says The Guardian, and what kids eat at 3 affects intelligence later, even if the kid's diet improves afterwards. Dumb and Dumber. Every 1-point increase in the study's dietary pattern score, a record of processed fat intake, was associated with a 1.67-point fall in IQ. So veggies are good. The Guardian adds at the end this no-duh note: food packed with vitamins and nutrients notably helped boost mental performance as youngsters got older. This all coming from the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. I believe we give you the link to the journal, but I don't think they are giving up the goods. They should sit in the corner with the dunce cap. USDA deregulates. That's what the D stands for. USDA deregulates genetically engineered sugar beets. From Change.org, the USDA announced last Friday, February 4th, 2011, that it would partially deregulate Roundup-ready sugar beets, allowing farmers to begin planting the GE crop this spring. Despite a California Supreme Court ruling 6 months back in August, which halted the deregulation of genetically engineered sugar beets, the USDA issued a partial deregulation for this genetically engineered crop. This is the first time the agency has issued a partial deregulation of a GE crop. Essentially, it means that farmers will be allowed to plant Roundup-ready sugar beets, but they must adhere to a USDA-designed plan to prevent contamination of organic sugar beet fields. An attempt to head off a future shortage of U.S. sugar supplies has been given by USDA officials as the agency's reason for the move. Last week, the USDA gave farmers the go-ahead to begin planting GM alfalfa. With a link back to our post last week on Food World Order covering the GM alfalfa. And we rhetorically again ask the question, do you think these things happen by accident? It's just the incompetence theory. A new study finds oysters are now also disappearing worldwide. A study published in Bioscience, the journal of the American Institute of Biological Sciences, found that the oysters are rapidly disappearing and that 85% of their reefs have been lost as a result of disease and over-harvesting of the mollusks. Reading from the French agency Press, oysters are important to ecosystems because they filter impurities from water and provide food and employment for people living in coastal communities. The decline in oyster population often begins when trawling or dredging destroys the structure of parts of the reef, leaving surviving oysters vulnerable to the stresses in the environment. Now, that story, as well as the one before it, were posted in part thanks to, again, one of the newest members to the nascent and growing Media Monarchy Kingdom. So, thanks to Melissa for picking up some editing and posting duties on FoodWorldOrder.com. And we'll close it all out with the binge and purge blast of headlines: Seeders, Makers, Actions. A fascinating story and a great idea from a site I had not seen before called TakePart.com. Secret seeders plant edible veggies for inner city poor. Something I noticed when I got to Portland that I hadn't really noticed in other cities before is that folks do really leave a lot of their food around and sort of out of the way, put somewhere for someone to come along and grab it. Meanwhile, from the New York Times, raw milk cheesemakers fret over possible new rules. And a follow-up for a story we were covering in the last several months, but now the military steps in to buy up more, possibly poison Gulf seafood, as the White House and all their cronies went on the PR push over the last several months over the holidays, and everybody's gonna eat up this tainted seafood. We forget. Jesus, it's almost been a year since the Gulf oil spill. So many ridiculous things as we hurtle towards some sort of insane clash of the civilizations like they've written about. High sugar prices stimulate Neotame take-up. Neotame, from the makers of aspartame NutraSweet, known to cause cancer in lab rats in California at the very least. High sugar prices. What were we just discussing? Oh, now you'll be more apt to take our genetically engineered, genetically modified organisms, GE, genetically eugenics. Naturalnews.com has a little bit of action for you where you can ask HHS, Health and Human Services, if they're going to lower the level of allowable fluoride, as we covered for you previously on Food World Order, and admit that they were wrong about those levels. How about they just end it entirely? Links for you to do just that. And as long as we're mentioning Natural News, and this would be a great way to end out the coverage here, they're now launching a 24-hour streaming talk radio station. As Natural News keeps growing and growing, they've had a video channel with food investigations and new video series going on, in addition to, of course, the website that's been going for quite a while now. Now a new 24-hour streaming talk radio show. And they even have another call that we're going to get to in episode 205 coming up when we get into all the media merger memes going around. But that's going to do it for foodworldorder.com, and that's going to do it for this B-side episode 204 from MediaMonarchy.com. My name's James Evan Pilato, your host and webmaster. Again, thanking you, as always, for joining us here. If you find alternative media valuable, truly independent, non-commercial, non-corporate media, please support it. Please spread the word. Please share it, thumb it, download it. It's all public domain. It's all fair use as far as I'm concerned. Just make connections, make communications, do homework, and we'll all share this information, and we'll all hopefully be prepared for whatever changes may be coming, whether they're internal or external. And so much of this is, of course, a war on consciousness. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll just end by saying, as always, my friends, don't hate the media, become the media. Take care.
How would you explain it?
Combining music and stylized images,
it's all remote control.
Each one of those images was electronically based.
Say on my track.
And that concludes our program for tonight.
This could really catch on.
I can't remember when I've been so moved.